Hello, everybody. On the afternoon of a 3-0 loss after a spectacular 8-game win streak, the Chicago Cubs come out with the news that Cody Bellinger will not be traded during the trade deadline. So, that comes out with a couple of questions. One, will the Cubs be able and willing to sign Cody Bellinger during or after the season? And two, the most important question at this point in time, 2 days before the trade deadline, will the Cubs be buyers at the deadline? So, here's where we stand currently as of this recording. The Chicago Cubs are 52-51, heading back to Wrigley Field 2 days before the deadline. That's the first thing. Second thing, Cody Bellinger has stayed red hot. He is the hottest hitter in baseball. The news that the Chicago Cubs have pulled Bellinger away from the trade market is lighting the baseball world on fire. Letting these teams know that he is no longer available for trade is putting the news up that the Cubs are going to be buyers at the deadline. Now, the question is, where do the Cubs need to improve? They need a third baseman. They need some power in that lineup to maintain any kind of momentum going into the playoffs or going into the rest of the season, period. That's the first thing. The second thing, they need some bullpen help. Now, where do they go to get that? Any of the sellers that are out there have bullpen pieces that they need. Third thing, in my opinion, and in some other Cub fans' opinions, they need another starting pitcher. Now, they can solve two of those problems in one go if one team is willing to admit, and I say this not tongue-in-cheek, willing to admit that they need to sell, and that is the San Diego Padres. A lot of you might be thinking, hey, the Padres, they're supposed to be really good this year. Well, they were. They spent a lot of money and trying to be good. It didn't work out. Who are the two guys? Blake Snell and Josh Hader. Now, you're thinking, now that's going to cost some prospects and maybe some money. It's not. Those two are in the final years of their contracts, which means next year they're going to be free agents. It is going to cost the Cubs something if they decide to go out and get them, but it would solve a glaring issue for the Cubs. One, they do need a starting pitcher to kind of help out that rotation, and two, definitely a bullpen piece and an established closer. Not that Albert Alzolay is doing a bad job; he's doing a fantastic job. But adding Josh Hader, an established closer, back to the NL Central, and especially on a team that he could basically turn into Aroldis Chapman 2.0 for the Cubs, could be an interesting ad. Now let's talk about Yadier Candelario from the Washington Nationals, third baseman. Now the Cubs do have a fix there at third base with Nick Madrigal. He hasn't been doing that bad, but the Cubs do need a power-hitting third baseman. Now you're thinking, well, they have Patrick Wisdom. Patrick Wisdom has been really missed this season. He hit 15 home runs. He hasn't gone anywhere since. Those 14 home runs came in the month of April. He hasn't hit anything really since. Let's bring in a guy that has 16 home runs, 17 home runs so far, and he can be a third baseman. Oh, and by the way, he was a former Cubs prospect. So, that's where we stand. The Cubs finished 3 out of 4 in St. Louis, finished their 8-game win streak, but they still have a whole lot of momentum heading back to Wrigley Field, starting a 4-game series against the Reds, and still heading into the trade deadline as looks like potential buyers. Let's see what happens in the next 2 days, folks, because we are going to have some fun. I am the Fel. Please like, subscribe, share, and stay up to date for all both Chicago Cubs news. And we'll see what happens in the next 2 days during the trade deadline. We'll see you all soon.